Yeah, Sayyid Ali again. I'm using a different
Yallah,
cell
Sayyid
phone.
Ali.
It's
This
my
line is
voice
better. Go ahead now. Now go ahead.
Okay,
Yallah.
yeah, Sheikh. So, yeah, thanks for this presentation. I had some questions pertaining to Imama,
Yeah.
and I really haven't seen them covered in English at all. So,
Okay.
I've got my own research about them, but I'd like to see your response, inshallah. So, the first one, we know Prophet Ibrahim alayhi salam, he became an Imam, clearly from the Quran, Inni ja'iluka lin-nasi imama. But when he becomes an Imam, are there any different duties that he has? Because I've seen in some books or tafsir, it says he must establish a government at that time. I haven't seen any proof for that or that hadith. So if there's a prophet Imam who possesses Imama, what are these different duties that he has? Are there any different duties, or it's just a higher status? And, what's the main... Yeah.
So Prophet Ibrahim alayhi salat was almost very old when Allah gave him his progeny. It's in the noble verse of the Quran that when the angels came to give him glad tidings of his progeny, his wife was there, and she heard that conversation. She was standing and she started laughing, and she said, "I am an old woman, and my husband is very old, and you guys are saying, and the angels, you are saying that we'll have children, we'll bear children." And the angels said, "Do not be surprised, do not be shocked by the works of the Lord." So he was very old. And if you go into books of tafsir, his age was over 100 and some of them over 120. And we all know at the old age, Ibrahim alayhi salam was already, he had been a prophet, he had been a Nabi, and he had been a Rasul, and he had a Sharia at that age. He already had all those titles, and he had all those things. So at that age, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, Inni ja'iluka lin-nasi imama. I'm making you an imam for the people. And we know that it was at the end of his life that Allah said this, because he says, وَمِن ذُرِّيَّتِي. He says, my progeny. So it only makes sense that he would have this conversation with the Lord if he has a progeny. If he doesn't have any kids, he doesn't have any children, then it would not make sense that he is asking Imama for his kids also. So he is asking...
So it's more status.
Yeah, is asking for Imama for his progeny. That means that this conversation took place at the end of his life, towards the end of his life.
So what's the difference, you say, between Prophet Imam and normal Imam?
So the difference is that Imam must be higher. Imam must be higher than Nabi and Rasul. Imam must be higher than Nabi and Rasul. Because if it's not higher, then this doesn't make sense. If I tell a person who is a general, I'm making you a colonel. If you're a manager of a bank and I tell him that I'm going to make you now the teller in the bank, so that is a demotion. That's not a promotion. And obviously here in this verse, because Allah has tested Ibrahim, and Ibrahim alayhi salatu wasalam has come through those tests and those trials, now Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala gives him a promotion, gives him a raise, raises his status. And Allah makes him Imam lin-nas, for all humanity, for everybody. Now, with regard to what happens to his duties, so we know for sure that Ibrahim alayhi salatu this must be a raise, this must be an elevation of status. This cannot be a demotion, because that would not make sense. And we know for sure that this position that he has been elevated to, this is higher than the position of risalat and nubuwat. Now, what came with this? I do not specifically know. Perhaps more knowledge, more miracles, and perhaps the scope of his leadership was expanded. Before that time, he was not perhaps the Nabi or the Rasul for everyone, and now he became for all humanity. And perhaps the ilm of Imam alayhi salam, some of those things that are mentioned, because the Imam of our Imams alayhi salam is not exclusive to the people. تبارك الذي نزل الفرقان على عبده ليكون للعالمين نذيرا. تبارك الذي نزل الفرقان على عبده. Glorious is the Lord who sent down Quran unto his servant, so he may be a warner for all the worlds. And our Aimma alayhim as-salam, anta minni bimanzalati Haruna min Musa. They have the same excellent qualities of the Nabi sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. So their imama is not exclusive to humanity. So I cannot claim that the same knowledge of our imams alayhim as-salam was given to Ibrahim alayhi salam because Ibrahim also became an imam. No, because his scope of imam is limited to mankind.
Mhm.
But perhaps he was given more miracles, more knowledge, and more leadership
Yeah.
authority. So in ahadith, I have not seen so far, nor it has occurred to me to do a research in this regard. But
Because yes.
but generally our ulama and hadith of Imams alayhim as-salatu wasalam, they have used this, also hadith of Imam alayhim as-salam, they have used this ayah to demonstrate that imama is higher than risala. But
Mhm.
to clarify now which duties were added to him, that has not been, I've not come across that so far.
Yes, because I didn't find anything to this, and it comes to that we say, okay, the Prophet Muhammad also had imamah. So Nawasib say why it's higher position for your Prophet, but Allah Azza wa Jal didn't say Ya ayyuhal imam. It says Ya ayyuhan nabi
No,
rasul.
he said
Yeah.
as imam. Rasul sallallahu alaihi wasallam has been called imam in the noble Quran. So that's not true. Yeah.
And I found one hadith, I don't know if you found more, where he says that in our books, I am the imam, or he is the imam of all of the imams. So again, this would clearly show that he's got this status here. But again, in duties, we don't know. And also, I watched some of your Ghulu series in Farsi, is very good and thorough. And I saw you mention the point about wilayat al-takwiniyya, because obviously imams, they have to have miracles. But you said this term, I believe, is a Sufi term, and you said you believe they have miracles. So this got me into a big research for more than a year now on the issue of wilayat al-takwiniyya, and I didn't actually find this term anywhere among Qudama or the early scholars. So I just want to clarify, do you believe the imams, because there's a big discussion, especially in English, that they are in control of these miracles, like 24/7 they can do them, or they make dua to Allah Azza wa Jal, who does the action on their hands? What would you say on this matter? Yeah.
So there are hadith that this is the action of Allah, that Allah carries out those actions on their hands, but also there are many ahadith that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has made is their obedience obligatory upon everything.
Yes.
Everything. Yeah. So they are not, those ahadith are not very few. There are many of those ahadith.
Yes, they make dua, for example, because I've seen, okay, there's hadith, they just do the miracle, but there's specific hadith, they make the dua.
Yeah, so it's not, they're not inconsistent with that they might do dua before carrying out a miracle, and at the same time they could carry out those miracles. And
because I'm of this opinion.
It's not really appropriate to delve into those details, and we can always leave the details for the imams alayhim as-salatu was-salam, and we could generally agree that whatever is their statement in this regard, our belief should be that.
But you wouldn't say they control the whole universe. The whole universe must obey them, but you don't say that they have control over every single thing.
No, I've not seen any that they administer the universe. Of course, I've not seen any hadith with that regard. That's different.
Yeah. Because generally
active administration of everything. No, I've never seen a hadith with that regard. Yeah. But if they order something and they will obey him, that's different than they administer everything actively. Yeah.
Yeah, because the early scholars like Sheikh Tusi, they actually defined a miracle as an act. The act of Allah upon their hands.
No, those are nothing. Those definitions don't mean much, because Sheikh Tusi was living in Baghdad, and that way he was engaged in arguments with mutakallimin, and his positions a lot of time reflect the polemics that he was engaged in, and many of those polemics and those discussions are just to win and just to make sense to the opponent, and a lot of times they're not. The purpose is not to explain to the Shias what the Imams alayhim as-salatu wasalam have said. So what goes on in the books of scholars and their words and their arguments that they have written against the Umaris, especially in the works of mutakallimin, those things are not always very reliable.
Yeah, unless they bring clear proofs, obviously, of where they get the definition from. Yeah. But my understanding, when you said that, it did trigger my research, because I said, okay, this term wilayat al-takwini isn't anywhere. And obviously, the traditional understanding...
wilayat al-takwini is wrong, because takwin means to create. Takwin itself means to create from nothing. Takwin. Kawwana yukawwinu takwinan means if I created something. If you say Imam alayhi salam have wilayat takwini, it means he has authority to create everything. And that's not the That's not the Shia belief. That's not the belief of Ahlul Bayt alayhim as-salam. Ahlul Bayt alayhim as-salam have damned, lanat and damnation, and done takfir to anybody who believes that. Ahlul Bayt
So
alayhim as-salatu was-salam have miracles. Miracles. They have the authority that they have to be obeyed by everything. That's different than that they created everything. There's quite a difference between the two. Yeah.
And not like they can, like me and you can move your arm now. You don't need like to make dua for that. Obviously, Allah's given you the power; you do it automatically. But the ones that believe wilayat al-takwiniyah, they said no, they can do miracles in the sense that like we can move our arm just in a split of a second. But as we said, we saw they make dua for this. So inshallah ta'ala, in the future, if you could make English lecture on this, would be great for the viewers. And finally, just some people asking about online education.
Yes. What were you asking for? Lecture on what?
I said inshallah in the future. Obviously, you lack time. I think it'd be a very good thing to speak about this concept of wilayat al-takwiniyah imams doing miracles, because it's been a hot topic in the English-speaking scene. Finally, but I won't take the time. Just as some people were asking about studying, there's many online houses now I've seen, some which are quite good. They teach people Arabic where people don't need to travel. So perhaps that's something people could look into, the online houses. I know some people that run them as well.
Okay, good.
Yeah. Jazakallah khair, inshallah.
Oh, Allah bless you. Allah keep you well. Thank you. Take care. So with regard to the Nabi sallallahu alayhi wa sallam being called Imam in Quran, there's a verse in the Noble Quran, and Umar is agreed that this is Nabi sallallahu alayhi wa sallam min qablihi. No, not that verse. But let me think about that. Because somebody asked me a while ago and I showed them that verse. But as it comes to me, I'll show it to you.